Hey guys, Stacey Majaury here, for the Strength and Conditioning Coordinator for the Athletics and Recreation Department. I'm here today to help you physically de-stress from your desk. We think this is really important right now as we navigate our work from home status. This is because we are not organically getting in the movement that we would in our regular workplace. By that, I mean we're not walking to meetings, we're not walking as far to get our coffee likely, we're not walking as far to grab our lunch, we're not walking to and from our car, etc., etc. So these are things that help us stand up and get out of that seated posture, where you might be finding at home you're going from one seated posture to another. And so it's going to be really important to fit in some little breaks as you go throughout your day to try and physically de-stress your body a little bit. And of course, it helps on the mental side as well. It will help to give you a little bit of boost of energy, maybe increase your productivity and things like that. So we're going to get started. So let's talk about when to take a break. There are a lot of time management tools out there that talk about work phases to rest phases. So the Pomodoro technique is one of them as an example, where you work for a specific period of time and then you take a break for a specific period of time. So rather than trying to fit yourself in one of those techniques, work with your own natural state, your natural workflow. So it could be that every 30 minutes you need a 5-minute break. Could be that every 45 minutes you need a 10-minute break. Every hour, maybe even you have the capacity to work up to 90 minutes. That's going to be up to you, and you have to ebb and flow and decide what that work capacity is. A lot of people will sit down and put an actual timer on. It helps to motivate them to stay productive. So when your timer goes off for whatever period of time you have, maybe you have 5 minutes, maybe you have 10 minutes, then it's time to physically de-stress. So I would say you're really getting up and moving around at least every hour to hour and a half throughout your workday. This could really be as simple as standing up and taking a couple of deep breaths. It doesn't need to be 15 minutes of stretching. You might feel that you don't have the time for that, but it might be just 2 minutes of deep breathing. Maybe you stand up, do a couple jumping jacks, you sit back down, whatever it's going to be for you. But the point is that you get up and you get moving and you try to, release all of the tension in your body so that you can sit down, and you'll find you'll probably be a lot more productive following some sort of routine or technique like that. So that's about when to take your breaks. You kind of have to figure it out on your own, but you probably already know your natural flow state. So it's just about tuning in a little bit more into your body and into your attention span, really, to figure out how often you're going to be taking your breaks. So next step, we're going to get into what the actual movements are that you can do. So let's get started on that. So the first thing I'm going to get you to do is just push yourself back from the desk. And you're going to stay seated. Both feet are flat on the ground. You're gonna reach up over your head. You can interlock your fingers like this and just reach up as high as you can. Try and pull your ribs up high to the ceiling. Try and pull your head up with the string up high to the ceiling as well, not just your arms. Now, keeping both of your sit bones flat on your chair, you're just gonna rotate down to one side. You can come back up, and then you can slide back down to the other side. Good, and you can come back up. Now you're gonna drop your arms down. You're gonna interlock your fingers in the same way here, and you're going to put them in behind your back or behind your chair, and you're gonna let your chest come out in front of you. You're just trying to open up those shoulders. That slump forward posture is what's happening mostly in that desk, when we're sitting at our desk all day. Good, so you're gonna release your hands, give them a little bit of a shake. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is take one hand and you're gonna put on your head. You're gonna take your ear and bring it to your same shoulder. This hand over here, you can put it behind your back. You can put it down, you can sit on it. The goal here is trying to keep your shoulder down away from your ear and not to let it follow up with this, and we're not getting much of a stretch. Very light pressure is put on with this hand. Now you're gonna take your chin and you're gonna turn it towards your armpit. So you should feel that stretch kind of move towards more so the back of your neck. One of these stretches might feel more tight than the other. You can spend more time on the one that feels like the worst but the best. Good, and come on up. We're gonna go the other side. So ear is down to shoulder, and my hand's gonna go behind my back. In terms of length of time for these stretches, I would say, 10, 15 seconds is probably a good amount of time. You could go through it a couple of times, but ultimately at the end of the day, you want to hold the stretch for as long as it feels good for you. Now your chin's gonna come down here. And bring it back up and roll those shoulders. So you're gonna hold your stretches for whatever amount of time that feels good for you. The reason for that is some days you might feel more tight and some days you might feel less tight. Some days you might have more time and some days you might have less. So you gauge that. There's not a strict prescription rule on how much to move to make your body feel good. It's more about tuning into what your body is telling you, because it will tell you when it's not feeling good. So you need to trust that process. Okay, so this next one is all about your forward head posture. So if I spin myself here, your forward head posture is like this, because we're trying to see our computer screen. We're sitting like this. So we're trying to open up our chest, and then we're trying to tuck our head back in. So we need to turn on these muscles back in here. So what this means is just it's a double chin exercise ultimately. So you're seated up nice and tall, spine's nice and tall. All I want you to do is push your chin back. So try and make a double chin. And then relax. So hold it for 2 or 3 seconds and then relax. Make a double chin and relax. You can see me from the side here. Double chin. And again. So you can do this throughout the day, and it's just gonna turn on those posture muscles to remind them like, hey guys, you've turned off, you're not doing your job anymore, and we need you to, start helping out here. So it's turning on some of those muscles that are really important to keep working as we're sitting at our desk. Okay guys, so now we're going to jump into a lat stretch. So you're going to sit facing your desk, and you're going to grab onto the side of your desk, and you're just going to push yourself all the way back as far as you can. So both feet stay on the ground, and you're going to, it's almost like a child's pose, so you're gonna let your chest get pushed down towards the ground as far as you can, and let that middle spine or that T-spine sort of press down towards the ground. So you're down in this position, and you're trying to elongate from your hand all the way down to your hip. Now, a lot of people might find that it works really well for them if they walk their hands to one side or walk them to the other. You can do this even with one arm. You don't need to do this with two. And now you're trying to you're sort of in this angle, so you're going from this wrist all the way down to your opposite hip. So again, 10 to 15 seconds is probably one of my favorites for my posture, so you guys might find that it's a really good one to elongate all the way down that side of your body. Okay, so now we're going to do what we call a figure 4 stretch. So I'm gonna push myself back so that you can see what my legs are doing here. We're still seated. So we're in this position, my feet are flat on the ground, my right foot stays flat on the ground, my left foot comes up, my ankle crosses over my knee. So for some people, this might be a stretch just like that. Great, just hang out in this position and let that glute stretch back here. Other people may need to bend themselves a little bit forward. So when you are bending forward, you wanna make sure your spine stays nice and straight. We're not gonna bend forward like this. We're gonna hinge forward from our hip. So come all the way down as far as you can go till you feel that sort of stretch in your glute. And again, you can do this one, 10 to 15 seconds, whatever's gonna feel good for you. You can come back up, you can reset, sit high again, and go on back down. Good, and then of course, we're always gonna do the other side. So left foot stays down on the ground, right foot comes up, and then you're going to lean yourself forward. For myself, you can see that I can't go near as far with my right leg up than my left. That's normal as well. If that happens for you, it's nothing to be concerned about. It's just one side of your body is tighter than the other side ultimately. Good, and you can kind of shake that out a little bit. Okay, so now we're gonna do a couple of exercises standing. So you're gonna stand yourself up. You can use your chair here for balance. You're gonna grab onto the top part of your foot, rotate yourself around, and you can hold your chair for balance. Some people like to hold their belly buttons, it's up to you. You're gonna spin this way. What I want you to think about doing is not only bringing your heel as close to your bum as possible, but I want you to think about tucking your hips under. So you can see my hips sort of move a little bit. And as I tuck under, my foot moves further away, so I try and bring it a little bit closer. That's gonna get not just the leg, but the hip as well. So make sure that sort of bum is tucked underneath. And to get even more out of this, if you need to, you can raise one hand up over your head. So you choose your level on this one. Again, you can hold this 10 to 15 seconds. And then when we're done this one, we're going to take that same leg, and now you're gonna lift it up as high as you can. You can tuck your hand under your knee if you want to, if you need that chair, or you can grab onto both hands around your knee and try and bring that knee up to the opposite shoulder, really pushing this bottom leg, pushing it down into the ground to pull yourself all the way up. So this glute should be turned on to help us support you in this position. You can roll your ankles here too if you want to. Okay, and then what you do on one side, you want to do on the other side. So you're going to grab onto that opposite leg, hand on your belly if you need to, or on your chair or your desk. You're going to tilt your pelvis or tuck your bum underneath, and then you're going to raise your hand up over your head if you can manage to do so. Good, and then we're going to take that same knee, again interlock your fingers, pull up nice and high. You can rotate your ankles around if you need to. And holding each of those for 10 to 15 seconds. Again, pushing that bottom foot right down into the floor, contracting that glute, standing up nice and tall. Okay, so next up we're going to do a stretch for our hip flexor. So again, you can use this chair if you need to. Grab a pillow if you want to for the floor. This is one if you have probably a little bit more time, or this is one of those ones that's the best bang for your buck. So if you don't have time to do all of the stretches, this would be a good one to choose. So you're going to come down into the lunge position. You can drop your knee right down to the floor if you wish to, or you can stay elevated if it hurts your knee to be down there, or you can grab a pillow. So this ankle is underneath this knee, and then this knee is underneath this hip. So we're sort of at a 90-degree angle everywhere. Again, from this position, you're going to tuck your pelvis underneath, hands come up over the head, and think about pulling your head up with a string to the ceiling. So you're going to stretch up nice and tall, keeping that pelvis sort of tucked under. Good. When you stand yourself up, you can go back to the other side. I will do this one without my knee on the ground, so I'm still in the same position. My pelvis is still tucked under. Hands are reaching up over my head. And you can hold that for 10 to 15 seconds as well. Okay guys, so the last piece I want to talk to you about is breathing, and I'm going to give you a couple of techniques to try. The important part about breathing is that we're exhaling longer than we're inhaling. So if you don't remember anything else from these breathing techniques, then I want you to take that away for sure. The intention of elongating that exhale is to activate our parasympathetic nervous system. So that's that whole fight or flight, and that ancient brain where we had to decide way back when whether we were running from a tiger or not. Our stresses were very simple back then. So what these elongated deep breaths do is speak to that ancient brain to tell the rest of your body, hey, everything's okay. You know, there's no need to freak out. You can relax, you can calm down. You don't have to be in this like fight mode because everything is okay. So it's important that we give our brain and body that connection to help us both to physically de-stress, because we have physical reactions when we're feeling anxious or high stress, as well as mental reactions as well. So it's going to help to calm both of those. So the first one that you can try is you can get a handy balloon, and what we're trying to do is exhale so much air that you're going to blow up a balloon. So that means every little bit of air that you can feel in your lungs, you want to get out. And this is a really good way of practicing what that is. So I'm going to show you how to do it. You're essentially just blowing up a balloon. We'll see what my lung capacity here is, but I'm going to take a deep breath in, and I'm going to blow up a balloon as high as I can, or as full as I can, with one exhaled breath. So here we go. Okay, so that is a really good way to practice that elongated exhale, because you know you can feel that, and then you have a direct correlation of how full your balloon is getting. So balloon breathing is one technique that you can use in practice. You don't have to use a balloon, you can pretend, but it's kind of neat to get that obvious feedback right in front of you. The second breathing technique that I want to talk to you about is called box breathing. And box breathing is essentially, we're making a box with our time. So you inhale for supposed to be 5 seconds. If you can only get to 3 or 4, then you do what works for you and work up to that 5. But whatever it is, it's the same all around. So we inhale 5 seconds, we hold for 5 seconds, we exhale 5 seconds, we hold for 5 seconds, and we repeat that box cycle. A lot of athletes will use this to calm themselves during high anxious times, competition, etc. They say, you want to do that up to 20 times to really activate those relaxation hormones. But if you only have a minute or 2 minutes to take a quick break, that would be, 3 to 6 box breaths is still going to give you that feeling of relaxation. So I'm going to kind of walk you and talk you through it, how I would do it. So I would be talking into my head. I wouldn't be talking out loud to you, but I'm going to inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, exhale, and then hold. And then inhale, hold, exhale, and hold. So there are 2 techniques for you. So your balloon breathing and your box breathing, and when in doubt, exhale longer than you're inhaling. And this is equally as important as getting up and moving and stretching and taking your productivity breaks. I hope that was really helpful. Just to review back from the beginning, in order to physically de-stress from your desk, you want to be taking regular breaks in whatever work amount that you can muster. Maybe it's every half hour, maybe 45 minutes, an hour, 90 minutes, whatever your natural workflow is. You want to be taking a break that many times and standing up and doing something. Make sure your break's not staying seated, scrolling on your phone, checking out Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or the news or whatever it might be. So that's key number 1. Number 2, pick some of those movements that I showed you and do some of those. It doesn't have to be from beginning to end. It can be whatever feels the most tight for you. You get to, it's a sort of a choose your own adventure. So you get to decide, but pick 2 or 3 of those and do them. Maybe even if it's twice a day on some of your breaks, and that's a really good idea. And then the last one is to insert some of that breathing into your routine. So maybe on the breaks you're not stretching, you can jump in and do a couple of balloon breaths or a couple of box breaths, whatever is going to work for you. So those 3 things, you should find that your energy is a little bit higher. You should find your body is a little bit less achy, I would say. And you should find that you're a little bit more productive because you're tuning in a lot more into your body and giving it the love that it needs. I hope you're all staying well, and we will see you all soon.